Yeah, I think I was lucky enough to harvest maybe 8 animals last year. And my goal last year was to do everything with a bow. I mean, they'll be texting me right away, dude, let me get some of that meat, please. I need some of that. So a lot of these guys are starting to realize how healthy and beneficial it is to have the wild game meat. And we put together a year-long schedule of different hunts all over the United States, and we're like halfway booked up for everything already for 2018. If there's something you can think of, I guarantee if you type it into YouTube, you will find a video or something of somebody teaching you or giving you recommendations on that. She's like, man, I really want to do this. So I said, just go out and get your hunter safety done. Once you have that done, we will get you on a hunt. And we just brought another human being into the world of hunting. So this is cool. What's up, guys? This is Chad Mendes. You're listening to Living Country in the City, episode 54.
Y'all ready for your dose of flyover state spirit? Straight from the concrete jungle? Well, put down your latte and pull on your boots. It's time for Living Country in the City.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 54 of Living Country in the City. We are here still at the International Sportsman's Expo, hanging out in the Finz and Featherz booth with Mr. Chad Mendes.
What's going on, guys?
So, if you guys can't hear, we are in the middle of Duck Call Central.
Oh, yeah. I've been hearing that for the last 3.5 days straight, and I've been hearing it. I'm seriously hearing it in my sleep when I close my eyes at night. It's crazy.
I've been hanging out just around the corner with some guys over at the Real Foul booth, and they've been causing quite a bit of the ruckus themselves too. But
every year I'm like, we're gonna switch spots, we're gonna move, and I end up right in the exact same spot with all the duck callers all around us. I'm going to have to make some power moves next year, I think.
Well, next year you'll just end up in the middle of all the elk callers.
I know.
So.
I think I'd rather hear an elk bugle than duck and geese calls all day long. But
I don't know. It's a hit and miss, which will as long as the bugle tubes aren't coming out.
Yeah, exactly.
I suppose it's hit and miss which one's a little more shrill, but. So thank you so much. I know you got a lot going on. It's been a busy weekend, so I appreciate you taking the time to join me on the podcast.
No worries.
One of the things I'm really excited to talk to you about is you're a fellow California boy. I talk to a lot of people on this podcast, and most of these folks are from out of state, from Montana, from these big Rocky Mountain states that are used to hunting. And so why don't you give me just maybe a little bit about your background, how you got into hunting?
So my dad actually was the one that got me into it. He grew up hunting. He's actually was born in down in like Southern California, grew up there for a few years, and then moved up to Hanford, California, which is like Central Valley, right here in California. So we grew. When I was born and raised there, about 5 years old, 6 years old. I remember just kind of following my dad through the woods up in the Sierras, like above Fresno, hunting blacktail. Hardly seeing anything at all. Lots of people. We'd see tons and tons of people, but very little deer. But that's where it all started for me. That was like honestly one of my favorite things to do as a kid. When my dad would tell us like Thursday or Friday, like, hey, we're going to get up really early Saturday morning. We're going to drive up to the mountains. We're going to hunt Saturday and Sunday, and then we'll come back. Like when he would say that was, I would like go buck wild, And so I really loved doing it. Would basically follow him around and kind of just pick up what he was doing. And then when I was old enough, I think when I was 12, I got my hunter safety and was like the day I think that I turned 12 was like, let's go do this, Dad. Let's go do this. I want to hunt. And got it done and ended up killing my first deer ever, and it was with a bow. It was a pretty crazy experience. I ended up arrowing him like a frontal shot and tracked this thing for like a mile and
nice.
Really good blood. Ended up getting on him and watched him expire. And it was like I'd never seen anything like that before. And I just remember feeling so many crazy emotions. Like I was super excited because I obviously know that I got him. But watching him stand there and then tip over and die was like something I'd never seen before and was like almost tore up inside, really sad at the same time. So that was kind of my first experience as a big game hunter myself. But, I just fell in love with it, understood once we started gutting and cutting them all up and getting the meat home and, understood what it was all about. So it's definitely a passion of mine. I'm obsessed with it, actually. I fight now in the UFC. And a lot of my teammates tease and just say that the reason why I fight is so I could afford all my hunting trips, and it's pretty much true. But, man, I absolutely love it.
I think that's true for most hunters. Our day jobs are solely to get us from one tag to the next.
For sure.
But, you said something really interesting. You were talking a little bit about just seeing that first deer expire and your feelings with that. And I think that's honestly something all hunters, one common thread that I've heard from all hunters is it's that weird mix of sadness and it's a solemn moment,
Oh, yeah.
There's that bit of melancholy because you've invested so much time and so much energy and effort into this animal. You've gotten to know it practically.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You've researched it and stalked it and all of this. And
yeah, it's not – I mean, I think a lot of people that don't hunt, they don't really understand what hunting means to someone that is, like, really into it. It's not – like we crave the thrill of killing something. The death part of it, for me personally, is not anything I'm ever excited about. What I'm excited about is putting in the work, shooting my bow day in and day out, making sure everything's fine-tuned with a rifle or whatever I'm using, practicing with it, and then being in shape and knowing your surroundings and the area that you're going to go in and hunt. Doing all the scouting, the prep work before, and then once you find that animal and it's the moment of truth, being able to close the distance in their backyard and use all their major senses against yours to be able to get in within range to kill them is, that's what it's all about for me. And then also filling my freezer with organic, free-range meat that I live off of throughout all my training camps. I'd say probably 85 to 90% of the meat that I eat is all wild game that I've harvested. And I'd say the rest of it's probably, if we have friends that come into town or something, or someone, if we are out of town that wants to just go grab dinner, that's probably the rest of the meat that I eat. But I don't ever just go to the store and buy steaks or meat like that. I have freezers full of it. So that's the reward part for me, and that's why I love it.
Well, and I mean, obviously fighting, you have to stay in rather peak shape at any given time. And there's no better meat when it comes down to it. I mean,
yeah.
It's the leanest, cleanest.
Yep. And I've been living off it now for so long that, people are like, oh, I can't handle the gaminess. But I typically do not taste it. And I think, the word gaminess is just, it's overplayed and overused.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just a different flavor. If you're comparing it to beef, obviously it's not going to taste exactly the same as beef. They're not being grain-fed and pumped full of all kinds of weird stuff and, and living inside of a pen, they're having to work, use their muscles, so there's going to be a different taste to it. But if you do your research and you actually look into how to properly prepare wild game, it's amazing, man. And I absolutely love cooking, and it's probably from cutting weight for as many years that I've done, but not being able to eat and watching cooking shows and just drooling over it. But my dad's always been a great cook, and watching him in the kitchen, I've kind of stole some of his ideas and recipes, and I love cooking. I do most of the cooking in my household, and man, it's good. So yeah, the wild game stuff it's intriguing to me to try to come up with creative new ways to make it taste amazing.
I've done a podcast with a buddy of mine, Jeremiah Dowdy from Field to Plate, who's his specialty. Oh, you know him. Yeah, he's a great guy. Another California boy. And,
so I actually stole some of his recipes as well. I'll see him post something. He just texted me 2 days ago to show this burger that he did, and it looked like something out of a Carl's Jr. commercial.
Oh, yeah.
It's just like sauces dripping out of it and all the juices flowing. I'm like, oh man.
I get so mad at him sometimes. He'll post stuff up on his Instagram story. I'm like sitting there at the office with some Chipotle or something because I'm running between stuff and dude, I hate you so much for that right now.
Dude, and I mean the cooking looks amazing, but his ability to plate it and take photos of it. I mean, taking pictures of food and making it look good it's an art form, dude. It's tough, but he kills it.
No, he's a good guy too. We had a lot of fun on that podcast, but
yeah, he's a cool guy.
So you've done a lot of hunting. What's your style? Do you prefer bow hunting, rifle?
I mean, I've grown up doing both, but I'd say probably the last 4 or 5 years, the archery side of it has really been a little more intriguing to me. I've been lucky enough to harvest some amazing animals, and I don't know, just the mindset of being able to, like I said, sneak in to bow range on any type of animal it's super, super hard, and it's, something that I don't know, it just really intrigues me these days. So the archery side of it has definitely grown more on me.
I always tell people, I've got a lot of friends that rifle hunt, they've never picked up bows, and once again, I'm brand new at all this. Went on my first backcountry hunt last year, but I've been shooting a bow for a couple of years now, and I tell them, I'm like, my rifle's getting awfully dusty.
Yeah, oh yeah.
There's just something about it, something primal, and the added challenge, and just, I don't know, everything about it.
Yeah, I think I was lucky enough to harvest maybe 8 animals last year, and my goal last year was to do everything with a bow. And I ended up doing that, except for one mule deer in Utah I ended up killing with a rifle. But, it ended up being a really, really good year for me, and I was pretty proud. I've never done that before. And going into the season, I set the goal. I got my bow all dialed, and I was just shooting. It's funny because I'm in the city, so I'm shooting in my cul-de-sac. My neighbors always just come out. Sometimes they just come out and sit and watch. They're just like my neighbor that's like 3 doors down has a few younger daughters, and they're always loving to watch me shoot. And so they'll come out and just kind of sit there and watch me as I fling a few arrows in the cul-de-sac. I have like a couple of hay bales set up against my fence with some targets. But yeah, man, just practicing and being able to do that and go out and harvest those animals with the bow this year was cool, super cool to me.
Yeah, you're preaching to the choir with that. I have a little apartment in the middle of Hollywood.
Yeah.
And we've got this like private alleyway in the back, and it's kind of closed off at both ends. And there's
nobody walk out.
Oh yeah, well there's
Stay
like
inside.
This one big shipping container at the end. And so I've got a nice backstop, and there's only one way in. It's this gate, and if I stand next to the gate, I get 20 yards.
Oh, perfect.
And so I can at least get some time behind the bow. Otherwise, I'm driving, 45 minutes to Pasadena to go shoot at the nearest range. But so how is it? What's your opinion of being a hunter in California? What's kind of been the reactions you get? You talked a little bit about, your buddies you fight with giving you crap, just about going from tag to tag. But
in my line of work, at least here in Sacramento, a lot of the guys on my team, they've never been around the hunting and the outdoor stuff. We have maybe 1 or 2 that have. Tyler Diamond actually is one of them. He's pretty ate up just like me. He loves hunting, loves fishing. But other than that, like a lot of the other guys aren't really into the hunting and outdoor world. But I think they see me doing it and cooking these amazing meals at night, where when I'm on a hunt and they see me post something like a harvest picture or something, they'll be texting me right away, dude, let me get some of that meat, please. I need some of that. So a lot of these guys are starting to realize how healthy and beneficial it is to have the wild game meat through their training camp. So, when I get back, usually I'm like, if I come back to the gym for training, I'll bring like an ice chest or, just little bags, like goodie bags, and hand them out to all my teammates. Like, here you go. Here's some elk and deer. Here's some, ducks. Here's some geese. And so that's pretty cool to me. Actually, obviously I love eating it and being able to cook the stuff myself, but seeing other people enjoy it as much as I do that maybe don't hunt and being able to share it with them, that means the world to me as well. So I absolutely love doing that. And, I think hunters from California kind of get a bad rap. Like, oh, there's nothing there. You guys are on, it's all beaches and palm trees. What are you hunting out there? But we actually have quite a few species here in California to hunt. I just think most of it, comparative to other states, the herd populations of like deer and stuff aren't as heavily populated, but our bear population is insane. Our waterfowl hunting is some of the best in the world. We have a ton of turkeys. I'd say probably our deer and elk compared to like Utah or some of those other states doesn't compare. But, growing up
I always do like to remind people, though, we do have elk that no one else in the United States has. We have those Thule elk.
Exactly.
Not that any of us are likely to get a tag in our lifetime, but
I know that's the tough part is getting those tags is pretty tough. But we do have some pretty cool Thule elk. I've actually seen some in person, some monsters, and you're just always just like blown away when you come across them because you're not used to seeing that type of stuff in California. So when you do see it, you're like, whoa, but. Also, we have black-tailed deer, which, on the West Coast, basically is one of the only places you can kill those in the world, in Alaska.
Hey, let's pause there for just a quick second to hear a word from one of my partners. All right, y'all, we all know that it's possible to get into the backcountry and take that big buck or bull with a set of surplus store camo and a Walmart tent. But let's face it, quality gear can often make the difference between checking out early due to sheer misery and pushing through just a little bit further to find success. But all this gear can start to add up, and that's why I'd recommend shopping at Black Ovis. They carry high-performance hunting gear from all the top brands like Vortex, Crispy, Sitka, First Light, Mountain Ops, and Stone Glacier, often at a nicely discounted rate. I've yet to find anywhere that offers a more reasonable price, plus their shipping is free and their customer service is unmatched. Additionally, by making the choice to shop at Black Ovis, you're supporting a company that's involved in and gives back to the hunting community. It's where I do all my gear shopping, and whether you're just looking to replace a few items or build out a brand new kit, Black Ovis is the one-stop shop for super solid hunting gear. Additionally, you can help support Living Country in the City by doing all your gear shopping at Black Ovis. Visit livingcountryinthecity.com/Black Ovis, bookmark the link, and use it whenever you do your shopping.
So, like I said earlier, we are at the Sports Expo in the Finz and Featherz booth, and got a nice little run. You know, got a lot of guys here wanted to get some photos, some autographs.
Had to take a little break there. We had a nice little wave pull in, so that's good. Good for sales, good for business.
Yeah, not a bad problem to have. You guys are selling out of the shirts. I had to make sure to get mine in that break before they're all sold out.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you for the support.
So, you know, speaking of that, we're here at the Finz and Featherz booth. You have a slightly unique day job compared to many of the other It feels weird calling that the day job,
right?
But,
yeah.
Compared to a lot of my other guests, and that also ties in with Finz and Featherz. Why don't you tell me a little bit about how this all came about and what it is?
Yeah, so Finz and Featherz is a business me and a good buddy of mine started. So basically what it is, you know, we put together a year-long schedule of different hunts all over the United States, and we even go to like New Zealand for like red stag and stuff like that. But we have a mix of species. We do elk, mule deer, whitetail. You know, we do stuff like turkey, waterfowl. We go to Florida for gators and pigs. We do helicopter hog hunting out of Texas. We even have some really cool fishing trips like out of San Diego where we go after tuna, yellowtail, stuff like that. But what makes it unique is we have about 20 different celebrity pro staff members. We have a mix of different UFC fighters. We have some pro baseball, basketball, football players, actors, professional snowboarders, professional shooters, so just PBR riders, kind of a mix of different athletes. And we book clients on all the trips, and then we'll put one or two of those celebrity athletes on the trips with the client. So they get to not only go do a cool hunt, but now they get to do it hanging out with, you know, maybe one of these guys they see on TV or, you know, someone maybe they look up to or, you know, in a sport or something like that. So it just makes it a new and unique experience. No one else was really doing it in the space. So we launched it back in 2015 with just high hopes that it would take off, not knowing what people would think of it. And, man, the last 2 years have been unbelievable. We've completely booked out both 2016 and 2017. We launched our 2018 schedule in December of this last year, and we're like halfway booked up for everything already for 2018. So it's been unbelievable. Just the response that we've got from people is pretty cool. And just being able to travel all over the place and meet new people and get to go on hunts and make a living off of it is a dream come true for me. So, I love fighting. I love competing. And that's something I'm still focused on now. But I can only do that for so many years. I can only probably fight till I'm 36, 37 years old is what I've always told myself. And that's coming up soon within the next, I'm 32 now. So I wanted to build something now and get it up and running and started, build the clientele and build the brand with it while I'm still fighting so that when I'm done, I have it to fall back on and not have to build it up after. So that's what we're doing now, what I've been doing the last 2 years and have been in love with it.
So you have any favorite hunt stories from guiding with some of these guys? Yeah,
I mean, there's been a complete mix of people. Our clientele is pretty all over the board. We have a lot of brand new beginner hunters, and then we have some that have been hunting most of their lives, and everybody in between. So, I personally enjoy taking a lot of people that have never hunted before. Because they're the type of people that just kind of, they listen to you. They're like soaking it all in. They don't have high expectations and Sometimes when there's money involved with buying a hunt, there's some people that are super, super picky, and I understand it. And the guys and girls that are beginner hunters, they just don't have any standards. So, you're just going out there and it's getting back to the root of what hunting is all about, and that's being in the field and enjoying the moment and enjoying the chase and the hunt of it instead of always looking for a score or size of something, you know what I mean? So it has been fun. The clientele it's pretty, like I said, all over the board, so it makes it interesting for us.
No, definitely. I think, and coming from the perspective of a beginning hunter, I've gone out on my first hunt in September and, a couple since then, and they have been complete disasters for the most part.
Yeah.
I think as a beginning hunter, keeping in mind, just those measures of success and what you're really out there for, if you're just out there to kill something, you can do that just about anywhere and pretty easy if that's what it's about. But if you're out there for the adventure and being part of something, and
yeah,
I think keeping in mind those true measures of success, what makes for a successful hunt, is really important. And
exactly, yeah. We've had clients like one lady in particular. She had never hunted before and was a fan of my fighting, but then just kind of fell in love with all my posting of all the different meals and stuff that I'm cooking, all the wild game stuff, seeing how, hunts go down when I do like the semi-lives and stuff like that, watching all my YouTube stuff. She's like, man, I really want to do this. So I said, just go out, get your hunter safety done. Once you have that done, we will get you on a hunt. She went out right then and there and got her hunter safety finished. It was a course. She did it. She's like, I got it. Let's do a hunt. So last year we put her on our wild boar hunt here in Central California. And, she was partially handicapped. She was walking with like crutches, basically. It was pretty difficult for her to get around, which, makes it really tough to hunt. We were trying to get her up and down these, the rolling foothills out there. And it made it tough because she couldn't really get down on her knees to, you couldn't lay down to go prone, or it was tough for her to get on her knees to shoot from like low shooting sticks. So we had to just make sure everything was perfect. And she ended up getting on multiple pigs. One she actually took a shot at about 100 yards and shot right over him. But like I said, that was her first time ever doing that. So she didn't end up killing a pig, but I ended up getting one for her. I shot one, filled my tag, and I gave it to her so she could take some meat home. But she also got the full experience of going on the hunt, seeing what it's all about, getting in that moment of the truth where it's, there's the animal right in your crosshairs, like your heart rate racing, and and her getting to feel all that. So that was really cool. She fell in love with it. She's like, I want to do it again. This was unbelievable. And she's apologizing the whole time for not being able to do it. I'm like, that you don't need to apologize. I'm just so excited that you went out and got your hunter safety done, and we just brought another human being into the world of hunting. So this is cool.
That's got to be the most rewarding feeling. Like somebody that struggles through an entire hunt, doesn't manage to fill a tag, but still is thanking you for the experience and wants to go out and do it again.
Yeah.
That's got to be the most rewarding feeling, knowing, they understand what it's about.
Yeah, and, getting into the world of guiding, I don't necessarily want to be just a full-time guide by any means, but being able to do that with people and just be there on the hunt with them is, that's what makes this all worthwhile for me. I absolutely love hunting. I love being in the outdoors. I love being around people that love it as well. But seeing someone like that had never done it and helping them and, like, showing them what it's all about, it's something I absolutely love.
No, that's really great. So you mentioned most of 28's coming pretty close to being booked up. Mm-hmm. If people wanted to see what you guys have left, find out more info about Finz and Featherz, where can they go online to find you?
So we have a website, finzandfeathers.com, and both Finz and Featherz are spelled with a Z. But finzandfeathers.com, we have a schedule page on there, and so each year we'll update that, and we'll rotate some trips. Sometimes trips will be repeats of the year before, but we like trying to mix it up a little bit. We'll add a couple trips maybe year to year, and just kind of keep it interesting and new for people. But the schedule page will be there. It'll tell you what hunt it is, the dates that hunt takes place, what possible celebrities will be on that. And when I say possible, the only reason we'll have celebrities booked on it, but we tell people just keep in mind with everybody's training schedules, fight schedules, acting schedules, whatever it is, things come up, and so sometimes they have to back out on that trip, but we always fill someone in on that trip. So there'll always be a celebrity on the trip with you. It'll tell you the price per trip, per person, and then it also tells you how many spots are left. So the schedule page will tell you all that information.
And so do you have, like if cancellations come up or new opportunities come up, those will also pop up posted in there, so people should check back fairly regularly.
Exactly, yep. Yeah, we'll have that number updated quite frequently. So, yeah, if somebody happens to back out, that number will be added back to it. I also post usually on my social media stuff like, hey, guys, we just had a cancellation for this tag or this hunt. If anyone's interested, make sure you shoot us an email at finzandfeathers.com, and I'll keep people updated that way as well.
Sounds good. So that's Finz and Feathers with 2Z's.com and Finz and Feathers 2Z's on Instagram as well.
Yeah, Finz and Feathers Guides on Instagram.
Guides
Finz and Feathers Guides.
Awesome. And I'll make sure to tag this in the show notes page. That'll be
Perfect.
livingcountryinthecity.com/54. So one thing about this podcast is it's really geared towards new hunters or, folks like myself who really weren't raised in it or maybe from the city and just feel like they don't have access to the outdoors or really the ability to go on these big hunts. Somebody came up to you and was like, Chad, I always thought it would be really cool to go on a hunt, but I don't know where to start. I don't know what to learn. There's just too much. I'm super intimidated. What would you say to that person? What words of wisdom or advice or recommendations would you give?
This day and age, there's so many tools with the internet. I mean, you can pretty much find anything you need to find online. I mean, if there's, especially stuff like YouTube, I mean, if there's something you can think of, I guarantee if you type it into YouTube, you will find a video or something of somebody teaching you or giving you recommendations on that. And I'll be honest, I learned a lot of stuff from my own personal life, as far as the hunting goes on YouTube. And I think that's a huge key. I know Go Hunt, Lorenzo Sartini is a good buddy of mine. He runs that company, and that is an insanely cool tool for people that want to learn about new areas, want to find, landowner tags or public property type stuff where you can get the draw odds if you're putting in for a tag, or it's a huge key and reference for getting that type of stuff figured out. So if anyone's interested, you can go check that out.
I'll admit, I live and die by Go Hunt.
Yeah, man,
I'm
their
on there
system
every
is
day,
awesome.
easy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's super simple to use. It's like, okay, I want to hunt elk. Tap on the big elk photo.
Yeah.
I want to hunt in Idaho. Tap on the big Idaho.
Yep.
It's idiot simple to do.
It is.
If I can do it, pretty much anyone can figure this out.
And
so.
it definitely is a huge tool, right? I mean, that's pretty cool. But like I said, so the YouTube, anything online, I mean, Google knows all. You can find pretty much anything you need to find online. And then check out Go Hunt too.
Oh, absolutely. So I want to thank you so much for hopping on the podcast with me today, man. I know it's been a busy weekend
no
for
worries.
you, so I appreciate you taking the time out. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries at all, man. Thank you for having me on. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thank y'all for listening to Living Country in the City. Get show notes and check out the blog, product reviews, events, and more at livingcountryinthecity.com.
All right, man. Thank you.
A lot.
Oh, shoot.
Reflexes of a cat.
Yes.